Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called Train Fare. This happened a long time ago, in a different century. I was working for a large multinational firm, with multiple sites in the UK. I was usually based around York, but was sent on a 6-month secondment to head office in London. Everything was on expenses. The hotels during the week, evening meals, and particularly rail transport to and from London on Monday mornings and Friday evenings. At this time I was living in Dixon, York, which were charged by the nights I actually slept there. So most weekends it saved me cash to go back home and stay by my parents in Reading, relatively close to London compared to York. As I was in Reading almost every weekend, I asked if I could travel from there directly to the London office, instead of driving all the way from Reading to York, just to catch the train back all the way down to London and do the reverse on Fridays. Not unreasonably, this was agreed to by my line manager. All was fine for the first few weeks, until it was discovered by finance that another colleague on the secondment had been doing similar to me, but claiming for rail travel to London from her parents' house in Edinburgh, a lot further from London than York. There was a bit of a stink about the company subsidizing her travel home to Scotland at weekends, and as a result, an edict was issued that said only rail travel claims for York to London would be signed off in the future. I spoke to my line manager about my circumstances, and he referred me directly to finance. I think he knew what was coming and didn't want to be implicated. I spoke to a senior manager in finance and began to explain my circumstances, but he just cut me off and said, in a tone that would brook no dissensions, that only claims from York to London would be signed off. No exceptions would be made. As a callow youth, I got the message, and thereafter submitted weekly expense claims for flexible return rail tickets from York to London for almost 5 months. Was actually traveling from Reading to London. I made a surprising amount of money from this, and combined with not needing to pay for digs and meals, I saved enough to buy a nice second-hand car after the secondment was over. The next story is called Property Management. Back in 2008, I did some work on the site for a customer's computer system. We got to talking, and he told me that he had a cheap 1-bedroom duplex for rent. That was too good to be true. It was a detached garage converted to a little apartment, and it was as plain and basic as they come. The actual house was being rented out, and he was charging the full amount price for the area, which was high. So the little garage conversion was pure profit for the landlord. I signed a lease for a fixed price. That was almost half of what the going rate was in the area. It was no frills, plain as can be, with the cheapest appliances and amenities possible. Light fixtures from the early 80s. Cheapest faucets and countertops money could buy. The elderly landlord and I had an arrangement. I could fix it up, so long as I could keep the rent low, and he would allow me to pay for the remaining balance on upgrades if and when things broke. Years go by, and I'm still in this apartment, making progress on updating the features. Around 7 to 8 years go by, and my rent is still half of the normal going rate for the area, and my landlord is happy with our arrangement. Sadly, he has health problems. He is no longer able to maintain his active lifestyle, and hence the reins off being a landlord to a property management company. This company is as shady and money hungry as they come. They get a percentage of the monthly rent for their role in taking over the landlord's duties. They immediately hate me and my rental agreement from the start. The month they take over, my rent goes up the maximum limit of 10%, plus 5% the cost of living increase for 1 year. I'm not happy with this, as this is a significant bump in my costs. I suck it up, but as a silent protest, I stopped making upgrades to the house that first year. 12 months later exactly, I get a notification that my rent will increase another 10%, plus 5% cost of living increase. This is yet another blow to my finances, but I can't really complain, as my rent is still well below the average cost for the area. Another 12 months and another 10% plus 5% cost of living, followed by another the following year. This whole time I had been saving a good portion of my paychecks as a down payment for a house, but these rent hikes were hurting my ability to set aside money for this purpose. My landlord was not happy with the property management company he hired, but couldn't get out of his contract because they were doing maintenance and facility repairs like clockwork. 2020 hits and I had been in this place for 12 years by this point. My rent was still under the average for the area, but not by much. Seeing as this was now just a bad apartment, I was looking for houses to buy to get me out of this rent gouging arrangement I was in. Right at the peak of the scare in 2020, a pipe burst in the kitchen and floods the floor, ruining the bed cabinets, the carpets and the furniture I had nearby. I had renter's insurance that covered most of the costs of what I had lost. Not the nicest furniture, but my couch was a total loss, and some other stuff was severely damaged. In comes the property management to assess the repairs and gut out the damaged wood and carpets. I offered to pay for the upgraded wood and countertops, as well as request hardwood floors. They deny my requests. I offered to do the work myself, as I'm fairly handy. Again, denied, with an actual written letter stating that I am not to do any work or maintenance on the apartment. I contacted my landlord, who has his hands tied, because this was the arrangement we had. I'm at a loss of what to do, because this property management company is not setting me up with a temporary place to live, doing all the work while I'm working from home to watch my possessions. There's a literal door-sized hole in my wall, as they spent 2 weeks fixing all the damage. They threw out my upgraded faucet, which was undamaged and worked perfectly fine. The upgraded sink, the light fixtures, the tile work I had done, the bathroom faucet, which wasn't even part of the floor damage. They then removed an outlet originally part of the apartment to save on costs. I was angry at them and complained via letters, via phone calls, and talking to the maintenance supervisor. It took 2 full months to do all the repairs, and at the end, they sent me a notice that my rent was going up due to some loophole and the neglect the apartment was in and not reported. I was done with this and pooled my resources, called in all the favors I could, and found the house I wanted. I gave a 30-day notice to leave at the end of my lease, along with an invoice of all the repairs I made to the apartment over the 12 years I was there. I attached a copy of my original lease agreement, a copy of all photos I took before and after repairs I made, a bill of the costs, and a request for a refund of the past 6 months of additional rent hike due to neglect, like they stated in the letter. I had a running tally of all the receipts, work performed, and the cost of not being allowed to live in a motel during the work being performed, to over $9,700. At the same time, I submitted all this to the courts, as I knew they would contest all of it. My landlord was on my side during the court hearing, giving testimony that he in fact allowed me in the rental lease agreement that I could do my own repairs. I won within 4 hours and was awarded $4,700. The judge removed all billable hours I included. The judge was harsh to the lawyer of the property management, saying his client must obey the law and put a tenant up for housing during construction. Nearly 4 years later, I finally got my lump sum, including penalties and late fees, which totaled up to $7,500. Sadly, my old landlord passed away, and his properties passed to his son, who immediately fired the property management company sometime early last year. The third story is called Don't Tell Me Where to Park. This happened this morning when I was walking my dog at the municipal park. It has a skate park, a playground, tennis club, softball fields, and a disc golf course. With disc golf, some of the holes tee off and end near the footpaths. that take you around the park. While there are signs in the general area that serve as a warning, people are usually aware of the disc golfers. I'm walking my dog and I see a group of golfers playing through, and they are throwing at a hole, that cage thingy, that's about 20 feet from the path. I stop, just in case anyone overthrows. Also, it's fun to watch. I'm standing there and some grumpy old man is walking from the pickleball courts at the tennis club to the parking lot. He has to walk up the path that I stopped at. I try to tell him, "Sir, you might want to hold on. There's a group of..." He immediately cuts me off it. "Out of my way. Don't tell me where I can walk," and trudges through without looking at his surroundings. I just look at him as one of the discs sails long and connects with the side of his face and clocks him off his feet onto the red grass. I see the coast is clear now and make my way to the parking lot. He's dazed and now angry and yells at me, "Why didn't you warn me?" I looked at him and replied, "You told me not to tell you where to walk," and proceeded on my way as he tried to get up and get his bearings while still cursing at me, because all of that was my fault apparently. The last story is called Deleted. I'm a fiend for Excel spreadsheets. Absolutely love them, and even bought an extra white monitor for home so I can see them in all their glory. My boss keeps telling me that she's an advanced Excel user. She can run macros. She can do pivot tables. She knows formulas. Not once have I seen her create or manipulate a spreadsheet in the 6 months I've worked for her. I had a template on our Teams chat that we used every week. It was automated to within an inch of its life to tell us about the company's health. We've been using it for the last 4 months. After I was given approval by the boss to make it live, I gave her a tutorial and everything. This was for the admins to all see it, and I'd only need to update the raw data once a week, instead of sending it manually to whoever wanted it on a given day, up to 4 times a day usually. It took out about 6 hours of work a week having it set up like that. The boss told me to take it down, because a different department who hadn't seen it was worried about personal data. When one of the admins told them about it, there isn't anything like that in there, and anything that isn't open access is password hidden anyway. Our IT team has to be formally requested to add a new member to our Teams chat. The spreadsheet is password protected. The tabs are password protected, and the whole company is locked down hard anyway. Boss orders me to take it down and delete it. Want a fresh one for anyone who wants it. I explained there wasn't anything in it that was personal or private data, but got told to still delete it. I tried to explain that we use it amongst the admins every day, and it has all these built-in features and tables etc. Delete it. So I did. Cue today. Boss says to me that her big boss meeting is presenting figures to the executives tomorrow. She starts quoting figures that are wildly out from the true numbers. I questioned where they came from, and she showed me a Frankenstein report that is saying the exact opposite of what she thought. Run by someone not even in our department. I tell her the accurate grand total and show her how I got there with a simple table and some screenshots I had of the original shared spreadsheet. She asks for access, and I tell her it's been deleted. I explained why, and even showed the meeting notes where she had approved its use after viewing it. She denies any knowledge of it, but wants it back. I said it would take me 2 to 3 days to make it again, due to my workload increasing. I saved a copy of the template, but no way I'm telling her that. This will give me breathing room to get the backlog out of my queue, where she thinks I'm working on it. Let her thread through that executive meeting, knowing every figure is wrong, and no one's saving her in this team anymore. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.